Benny, earlier you were talking about how like a couple years ago you had a personal low point, and you also made a video pretty recently about like your personal growth of how you were able to like grow past that. So can you share like that like kind of journey to our audience?
Yeah, so essentially I had a lot of stuff happen to me in a very short time. I got divorced. I got over $80,000 in personal debt. I got even in more debt with my company. I was extremely exhausted because in writing my original language hacking courses, I had 20-hour days where I was barely sleeping. So I was completely burnt out from work, and I ended up being clinically depressed because of all of this. Like, I had to take depression medicine, which had mixed results, and it was just the lowest point in my life. And it's when you're that low, it can just feel like getting anywhere is like climbing a mountain, because I had multiple problems that I had to solve. And like many people would have said before, if you want to climb a mountain, you just have to do it one step at a time. And that's essentially what I worked on, is can I get to a place where I had all these huge problems, and I tried to just take them one at a time. Financially, can I get on top of my finances? I watched a lot of YouTube videos about financial management, and I changed a lot of things. I moved away from New York, which was very expensive. I started having a cheaper life, and that was its own process, and I focused on that. And then next was to improve my spirits, and that was its own separate challenge. So like each one of these, I've given them their own time, and I've had to accept in this experience that like, even though being a polyglot is so central to my personality these days, it's my online brand, I'm genuinely passionate about using other languages. May not be passionate about learning languages, but I'm really, truly passionate about using languages and getting to know other cultures. So it was a hard pill for me to swallow that, do you know what? For the short term, I can't be that person. And if anyone's listening and they're going through a rough time in their life, and maybe they're finding that learning Japanese is not helping them get out of that rut, I would even say maybe now is not the time to be learning Japanese. Maybe you have to learn, you have to work on your own personal issues in other ways, make them the priority. And this would mean that when you come back, even if it's a whole year from now, a year feels like such a long way off. But when we all think about how this pandemic has impacted us, that like the time has flown. And this has been one of the things for me that I have implemented things like atomic habits to make small adjustments to my finances, small adjustments to my personal health, my mental health, and to get to a better place in my life. And they have built up over time that every day I'm trying to be 1% better. And that has kind of exponentially improved, that now I'm feeling like I have this drive that I used to have before all these very difficult years for me. And I've got that language passion back. So I'm hoping just the fact that this is so central to my life, that if I like give people permission that it's okay if you're going through a struggle and you can't be a polyglot, you can't be that Japanese speaker right now, it does not mean you'll never be that speaker. Maybe it means in the short term, you need to work to get to yourself to a better place, and then you'll have the energy, because especially the level of language learning that I do, the level of intensity, it requires energy, it requires motivation. And I was all out of that for several years. So I had to accept I don't have what it takes to be a language learner right now. But that's okay. I'm going to work on myself, and then I can get back to that place maybe a little bit later. It took me several years, and I'm glad I made that investment.